You ever look at an outlet and just wonder, why is it there? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not random at all. In fact, there's a secret blueprint hiding in your walls, all about keeping you safe and making life easier. So let's decode it, shall we? Now, seriously, think about your own place for a second. Why is there an outlet tucked away behind the couch, but that little piece of wall next to the door is totally blank? It feels kind of random, right? But it's not. It's not a mistake. There's a whole system, a code that dictates where every single plug goes. And today, we're going to crack that code together. Okay, so let's start our little tour. We're going to begin with what is arguably the most fundamental rule of them all. This is the foundation for outlet spacing, and you'll find it applies to pretty much every general living area. Here it is, the magic number, 6 feet. Seriously, if you remember one thing, remember this. This single measurement is the key to understanding why outlets are where they are in your living room, your bedroom, you name it. So you might be asking, why 6 feet? Why not 5 or 7? Well, it's actually pretty brilliant. See, way back when, appliance manufacturers all kind of agreed to make their cords about 6 feet long. So the folks writing the electrical code said, okay, let's work with that. The whole point of this rule is to make sure you can plug in any lamp, any TV, any gadget from any spot along a wall without ever having to reach for one of those messy and honestly pretty hazardous extension cords. But, okay, what even counts as wall space? The code gets specific here. To count, a wall segment has to be at least 2 feet wide. You know that tiny little strip of drywall by your front door? Yeah, that doesn't count. But the wall space that turns a corner? Oh yeah, that absolutely counts. And hey, here's a little fun fact. What about those outlets in the floor? Well, they only count toward this 6-foot rule if they're super close to the wall. We're talking within 18 inches. If it's further out in the middle of the room, it's just a bonus plug. It's not part of the main blueprint. All right, let's move on. Next stop on our tour, the kitchen. Now, this place is the real power center of the home, right? It's where all the hungry appliances live, so you can bet the rules get way, way stricter in here. It's a whole different ballgame. Okay, new number for you to remember. 2. And in the kitchen, this isn't just a good idea. It's the law. And here's the why behind it. Just think about everything you plug in on your countertop, your toaster, your blender, that fancy coffee maker. Those things are absolute power hogs. To stop you from tripping a breaker every single morning just trying to make breakfast, the code demands that kitchens have at least 2 dedicated heavy-duty 20-amp circuits just for those small appliances. So you remember that big, generous 6-foot rule we just talked about? Well, in the kitchen, just throw that right out the window. On the countertops, the spacing gets cut down to just 24 inches, or 2 feet. The idea is that an outlet should always be within easy reach, so you're never, ever tempted to stretch a cord over a wet sink. Super important. And believe me, it gets even more specific from there. Got a little piece of countertop that's only 12 inches wide? Yep, it needs its own outlet. And they have to be placed no more than 20 inches above the counter, keeping them nice and handy. But there are a couple of no-go zones. You won't see an outlet directly behind a sink or a range. And that's for some pretty obvious safety reasons, right? Okay, we've conquered the kitchen. Now it's time for a lightning round. We're gonna hit the bathrooms, basements, and a few other key spots. Because trust me, every single space in the house has its own little rule book. Get ready, here comes the next magic number, 3 feet. When you hear 3 feet, I want you to think bathrooms. This one is pretty much all about convenience. The rule says you need to have at least one outlet within 3 feet of the outside edge of every sink basin. Makes sense, right? It's for your hairdryer, your electric razor, your toothbrush, all that stuff. You need the power right there at the vanity. And man, the code really is thorough. It thinks of pretty much everything. For instance, got a hallway that's more than 10 feet long? It needs an outlet. No more dangerously stretching that vacuum cleaner cord. A garage? You need one outlet for every car space. Unfinished basements, laundry rooms, they each get at least one. And don't forget the outdoors. You're required to have an outlet at the front of the house and one at the back. See? It's a whole system. So what does this all boil down to? At the end of the day, the National Electrical Code isn't just some boring rule book filled with random numbers. It's a design for modern living. It's a carefully crafted blueprint for a life that's safer, that's more convenient, and most of all, a life that is free from that tangled mess of hazardous extension cords.
So now you're in on the secret. You know the blueprint that's hiding in your walls. The next time you're walking around your house, take a look. I mean, really look. See if you can spot the code in action. How does your home measure up?